When we say limiting beliefs, we actually mean whatever you believe in and the limitations that you have in your own belief.
Yeah.
But here to explain that in more detail, we have someone named Wesley Chan, who is a certified NLP coach with Vision Alliance and a recipient of the Gold Chancellor Award in the industry of training and speaking from Tun Datuk Sri Mahathir Mohamad, who has made it his mission to inspire people to unleash their ultimate potential and strive towards fulfillment and happiness. He is back on VBuzz today with his monthly youth motivational series, this time to talk about how we can overcome our limiting beliefs for the sixth time, I presume.
Yeah.
Yes. Wesley Chan, thank you for being here once again.
Thanks for having me back here.
Alright.
Yes,
So just now, Bern did attempt to give a definition of limiting belief, but we'll leave it to the professional. So tell us, Wesley, what are limiting beliefs? Could you even give us some examples?
Yeah, sure. I think first of all, before we define limiting beliefs, we should define what beliefs are. So beliefs are merely our assumption and our conclusion that we draw towards people, towards ourselves, or towards things. For example, beliefs can be either liberating or it can be limiting. So limiting belief is something that we believe, assumption that we believe that constrain us from taking action.
Okay.
So think for example, we have a metaphor like a table with 4 legs.
Okay.
So a belief is something like that. So a table will not stand unless you have the legs.
Correct.
So a belief is like a table, the legs are the evidence.
Okay.
For example, if you think that I'm not good enough, then you will give justification. I'm not good enough because my results are not good and I'm not making enough money. So a belief always comes in terms of evidence that bring to your consciousness that you're aware of. So in short, limiting belief are things that you assume, that you draw conclusion, that you justify, that constrain you from taking action, from achieving your goals.
Brilliant. I've never really looked at it that way actually. But how do limiting beliefs actually hold us back?
So I believe in each of us here we have deeply ingrained beliefs. So like what I said, if your belief system is not liberating, it is likely to be limiting. And I'm quoting this from my sifu, from Dr. Billy Quick, so that's what he said. And so how does this stop us? Number one, when you have a limiting belief, it causes you to justify. So you start justifying. Example, when you do a certain test or an exam, you don't score well, then you tell yourself, it's okay.
Based on that evidence.
Lecturer didn't teach me well.
That, or you might, most commonly people say, because I think I'm not good enough. So or even when you don't get that money that you have, and you will say, no lah, because I believe money is evil. So these are some limiting belief that's in people. So number one, you start to justify. Number two, it causes inaction. So you don't really take the extra step to achieve your goals. And the most common thing is people start to justify. Because when you justify, it limits your action. It leaves you blaming other people but not yourself. So you lose the power of change. So,
Wow.
Alright, so let's talk about it. So we have limiting beliefs, and it's so interesting, Wesley, because I know everyone has limiting beliefs, but when someone actually puts things into perspective, you're like, okay, wait, that's actually
I'm really
so
starting to think about what's
unrealistic.
happening in my life right
Exactly,
now.
but how do we develop such limiting beliefs?
Okay, limiting beliefs basically derive from our misinterpretation, from our past experience, and usually our painful experiences. Okay, let me share with you one of my limiting beliefs that I used to have. So being in the Gen Y industry, I often coach youngsters and youth. They always tell me this one thing: they work so hard to make money, to earn money, and yet they don't achieve the results. And they always tell me, I believe that money is evil. And I want to question that limiting belief, and I always ask them, so when did you decide that money is evil? And they will bring me back to some kind of childhood history, imprint period of 0 to 7 years old. Because in Gen Y, they grew up in an environment where back in the 1990s we had economic recession. And personally, for that time, my father was a remisier. So I can still remember vividly when I was in my standard 1, my dad was driving me to my school, primary school in Keppel. And he used to tell me that, being a remisier, he earned from the brokerage fee and the commission. So he didn't have enough money. So he used to be very worried, financial is very tight, budget is very tight. And in my mind, being a small boy, so what is this money that makes my parents unhappy? So since that time, I believe that money is evil. And I believe it's not only me, but I think many people have all these experiences. Because if you believe that money is evil, you will justify how people misuse money.
Yes.
And then
Just
money
like-
will appear evil.
Yes, because it brings to your consciousness, you believe that it's evil, it will be evil. Right? So that's one of the things that, so how do we develop that is from our past experiences.
Based on our own justification of what's evil and what's not. Why is it so important to get rid of limiting beliefs itself?
Okay, let me give you another metaphor. It's like a big helium balloon. You use a string and tie it to a tree.
Okay.
No matter how much air you pump, how much helium you pump into the balloon, it will still be stuck there.
Yes.
Example, how hard you work, how much effort you put in is like adding more air.
Okay.
But one of the easiest things you can do is to cut the string.
Yes.
So when you get rid of a limiting belief, you're cutting the string to liberate yourself.
Wow.
So that's a metaphor I want to share. So why do we get rid of a limiting belief? So it's to basically make you responsible that hey, this is just merely a perception. A belief is not a fact. A belief is just a perception. This is an assumption, it's just a conclusion. And it is not true. So if you tweak it from a limiting belief to a liberating belief, you have power of change. Because when you feel more motivated, you feel more empowered, you feel that you can do it. So it gives you more healthier self-esteem, self-image that you say, okay, I can do it too. So that's how you can tweak it. It's just reframing it into something positive.
But it takes time, obviously.
It takes time, and it takes yourself to analyze that. Number one, this is not a fact. It's just your belief, and it's merely your belief, and it's just your perception. It is not a fact.
It's not real.
Wow.
Now Wesley, from my personal experience, I always stand by this motto that is dreamer, believer, achiever. So I really set goals and I'm driven to achieve it every single time. I, however, never knew that limiting beliefs were the ones that was holding me down. But my question is that is it true that no matter how how driven you are to achieve your goals, there will be some some hurdles because of your limiting beliefs?
Yes. So we have the conscious and the unconscious mind. So the conscious mind is like we're making choices, is consciously there. Now the unconscious mind that preserves our body, that regulates us. Example of the use of unconscious mind. So how do you know when you wake up you are you?
Yes.
So we have got habits and program in us. So a limiting belief is a program in us. For example, if you believe you are not good enough, so there are times when you're taking action, your unconscious mind will kick in. Hey, you're not good enough. It's okay not to try. Hey, you're not good enough. You just justify. Hey, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. So when you believe in a limiting belief deeply ingrained in you, it unconsciously it kicks in. Then you feel that it's okay lah. Anyway, because I'm not good enough.
Right. But you did mention about how your parents, what your dad went through, and that's how you had an impression that money is evil. So do parents and society itself and peer pressure and friends and whatnot create limiting beliefs in us?
Yes, definitely. Especially when, how do we develop limiting belief is when during the imprint period, of 7 to 7 years old, we are just small little kids, little boys and girls, and we know nothing. So we learn the world through our parents and people that we model, our parents and our teachers. So we model how they think, we model how they believe. So in a way that we have incorporated their belief system, we have incorporated what they think is true. So we learn from them. So there are many examples that I can show you based on what youth is going through right now. So for example, if you are in a family where there's abusive relationship, just like when you are 3 years old playing toy, all of a sudden and then your parents and mom get into an abusive relationship and they quarrel and they start hitting each other. So be you when you are 3 years old, or maybe that is called relationship. So when you fight this relationship, so deeply ingrained in them, so love is about being abusive.
Love is fight.
Wow.
There are people really telling me about all these things, and they have this consistent pattern getting into a wrong relationship because of this limiting belief they have. Another thing is money is evil because they grow up seeing their parents fight over lack of money.
So very quickly, is it fair to say that upbringing is what creates the limiting beliefs in us?
Could be.
Generally.
Could be. We have this saying that strike the iron when it's hot. So when we are raw and when we are young, we are hot. But just that the mold, we don't realize what kind of mold that we use to strike our children. So it could be something that the parents will not realize. So it's doing something to the kids. Another good example that youth always tell me, I'm not good enough, and I ask them why. Then they tell me, because my parents used to tell me that my siblings are always smarter than me.
Yeah.
My friends are always smarter than me. You know, when I'm a small little boy, my parents would say that, stupid.
Yeah, that oftentimes happen, you know, in an Asian family.
Yeah.
There's always that comparison that, hey,
Yes.
how come he got 1 mark more than you if you're not good enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the constant
Happens all
thing
the
that
time.
happens. Now, Wesley, it's interesting you mentioned, you know, how parents and especially your teachers, they somehow mold and even contribute to your limiting belief, right? Now, that's very true. You know, it's something my teacher said when I was 10, 11. I was holding on to it for so many years, till just probably 2 years ago. Now, but I never identified it as a limiting belief. It was my belief. So how does one go into this unconscious, subconscious mind and actually identify something is a limiting belief?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that we have mentioned before is to know what is your outcome. You set where you want to go, you set your outcome, you set what you want to achieve.
Okay.
And then you find out what's important that you need to achieve. So along the ways, what are the obstacles? For example, what story do you tell yourself that make you justify your inaction?
Okay.
You know, see, what kind of story, what kind of assumption, what kind of thing that is stopping you? What resistance do you face?
Okay.
What makes you to procrastinate? What makes you to have the fear of trying? What makes you have to have fear of making a change?
Okay.
So when you reflect that, what's stopping you inside you, it's not about other people. Again, we talk about change is about you.
Okay.
So maybe example, you know, I believe I'm too young to make money. I believe that I'm too young to be successful. These are all belief, you see. And again, it's personal belief, which is not a fact.
Yeah.
Which is not true,
Okay.
which is just you basically believe.
Okay.
So how do we identify is to check on yourself, what resistance do you face, what stories and justifications you tell yourself that make you to feel okay not to succeed. So that's how you can reflect on yourself.
All right.
Yeah. So I've always wondered, like a scenario, for example, what would you say to me if I were to tell you that I want to start a business, but I believe I will fail because I'm worried people might cheat me?
So that's a limiting belief. But you were saying that people will cheat you.
Yeah.
So again, when did you decide to believe that?
You have to go back to the
Exactly,
root
the
cause
root
of
of
it.
it.
Because to many people, they can tell.
Right.
Oh, because when I was many years ago, I started a business and my friend
Okay.
cheated me. They have an experience. Because you see, how do we develop limiting belief? You have a painful experience. That's when the time you make a limiting decision. So decision is like the first point of a limiting belief.
Okay.
So and then a limiting decision and then all these limiting beliefs that you have. So it's to always question yourself, when did you decide that?
Okay.
So that you always have.
Now,
I did.
how does
Sorry.
a limiting belief affect you, or in when you want to achieve a goal? How does it affect you?
Oh, it makes you fearful. It makes you inaction. It makes you procrastinate. It makes you not feel good about yourself.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it makes you lazy. It makes you not take action. It makes you justify that you're not good enough. It makes you justify of you not achieving your results.
Right.
So it makes you stuck there. It makes you just stay there.
In your comfort zone.
In your comfort zone, you're being complacent, you're being comfortable, and you just stay in that zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what we want to avoid.
Definitely.
We all might need to go and see him after this.
Yes, definitely.
You can talk about
Okay.
that.
How can we overcome these limiting beliefs and in general, maybe for those of us who haven't been to your classes, how do we, what's the first step?
Okay, so how do we overcome? Of course, the first is to acknowledge and to be aware that we all have limiting belief. And to acknowledge that, okay, I have this limiting belief and I want to change that. So then you set a goal. So how it works is that we have NLP coaching tools, and we have a technique called timeline therapy.
Okay.
Which means you discover the root cause. When did you decide that?
Okay.
And based on your experience in the past, what are the positive learnings? What are the positive thoughts that you can learn to preserve the learnings? So you reframe the entire action. Now, how negative emotions disappear? Reframe.
Right.
So instead of you thinking that you're not good enough, so what can you learn from that?
Okay.
So it's not just one experience that makes you think that you're not good enough for the rest of your lifetime.
Okay.
So based on that first seed of you having that doubt,
Okay.
what can you learn? What action can you take? What outcome would you want to achieve?
Okay.
So we do it through a coaching session where we take time and we talk to the client. So but now it's just a rough concept. So the idea is to reframe.
Okay.
And what is it that you don't understand about yourself
Okay.
that makes you believe that you should be confident? Is there something else that you should look upon?
Right.
Because based on that experience, we have got choices.
Yeah.
Example, I have got clients who tell me, why are they not good enough? Because their parents used to scold them because they get bad results in exam. So at that point of time, instead of choosing to believe they're not good, what other options they have? They can work harder,
Right.
or they can do something else. So because you have got many options, so and discover if you think that you are good enough,
Okay.
you have got far more benefits than just
Right.
believing that you're not good enough.
Yes.
So what are the other options that you have? How can you tweak and how can you reframe
And
your
it's so
advantage?
important to turn, this negative or limiting beliefs to something positive and liberate yourself when you look around and see that there are so many choices.
Yes.
Wesley, it was an absolute pleasure speaking to you
Yes.
today, and I'm sure that we've talked about this. People will go back home and they'll be sitting down and thinking, what is limiting me?
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Wesley, and
Thank
we're
you,
looking
Wesley.
forward to see you again next
Sure.
month.
Thank you.
For the seventh time.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
All right. So let us just remind you, tomorrow on VBuzz we'll be kicking off a monthly series.